Hi, my name is Emily and I'll be showing you how I draw Erza Scarlet from Fairy Tale. I first start off with a basic pose reference. This helps as a guide of her basic shape. Make sure you keep studying your reference image for her right proportions. You can now start adding in her armour and clothing. Using the original base sketch, I can now apply a more confident outline. I always check my reference image to make sure everything is lining up. For example, the top of her shoulder piece meets exactly to the point of her chest piece. For drawing objects such as swords, make sure you always use a ruler. I always like to start with the head. I first erase the pencil outline and draw back in the outline with the colour that is the hair. If you draw on top of pencil with Prismacolor pencils, they usually smudges together and it doesn't look great. So always erase it first and then apply the colour. Using the skin tone, quickly do a small outline for the eye and colour in that area with white. I'd like to mention that I always pick out my colours beforehand so I know exactly which shades to apply where. Using a basic red tone, just colour in the whole area of her hair. This will be a base for you to build up on, so you'll be adding in more shades and highlights. Using a light skin tone, colour in the whole of her face. I picked out a medium brown colour as I thought this matched quite well for the shadows that will cast on her skin. I lightly apply them and then go over them again with the skin tone. Prismacolor pencils are really good with blending, so this is why I overlay them. So as you press harder, they'll blend nicely. Using a dark brown, I outline the shaded areas of her hair. I haven't pressed too hard with this as it's just another base to build up from. For each aspect of this drawing, I've picked out at least 3 tones. With a darker red, I've blended in the shadows. With the original red tone, I apply more pressure and cover the rest of the hair. With a white pencil, I then put in the highlights on the hair. Make sure you press quite hard. Here I've decided to outline the eye already. This just helps me know exactly where it's going to be and the right shape and size. This whole process pretty much goes for the whole of the rest of the drawing. So I always keep erasing the outline and then putting back in the outline the colour of the area that it's going to be. For example, the arm is going to be skin tone and her armour is going to be a grey. With the light pressure, use your chosen colour as a base layer. Then build on top with shadows using your base colour for blending. Never stop looking at your reference because that's going to be the best guide for your drawing. It's going to tell you exactly where you need to put those highlights and shadows. Chrome metal can be quite tricky to draw, especially with how it's meant to be so shiny. So I always start with a light base layer and build up using the shadows first and then add in the highlights. I find that because Prismacolor pencils have such a waxy substance to them, they're able to blend really well, so actually having shadows put on top of a lighter base layer, I feel like I can blend them quite nicely and give kind of a sheen to the metal. Again, this is the way how I draw and how I use Prismacolor pencils. This could be completely different to another artist, but I just wanted to show you how I am able to colour with these. Because there's quite a bit of detail in this area, I've decided to use a black pencil just to draw in those detail bits, so I know exactly where to colour. For Erza's blue skirt, I actually didn't have the right blue tone, so I chose two quite similar blues just to have a darker base layer and then colour over the top with a lighter blue, and I feel like I was able to match it pretty well by using this technique. The hardest part of the whole drawing for me is making sure that her face looks exactly right. So if this goes wrong, then the whole drawing to me is just completely gone wrong. So to make sure that I know exactly where her features are meant to be, I use a light pencil just to mark where her nose and mouth is, and if I think that looks right, I can just go ahead straight over it with the black pen. But if I think it looks a bit too off, I can use the skin tone colour and just rub that in to the pencil, and that erases it. And then I can only do this about 2 or 3 times before it actually does mess up the image. And then I just have to be quite confident in putting down the outlines for her features. Even for just outlining, make sure you keep checking your reference, as there could be a line somewhere that you didn't realise was there. This is actually my favourite part of drawing, using the white gel pen. I really think that this adds a lot of accent and depth to the drawing, and you can really use your artistic license to do whichever you think looks the best. I usually go over the highlights that were already known and add a few more highlights in of my own. I feel like this makes it a little bit more interesting and kind of adds a personal flair to it too. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.